Today, what we're going to do is animate a character with parenting. So we're going to connect all of the layers, use parenting to animate the arms and hands and face and everything moving around with rotation animation. And then we're going to green screen out a background and place the character into the background so that it appears like it's in a TV. Um, so I'm just going to jump into it. I'm going to try to kind of go and fast forward a little bit so that we can move quickly. First thing you're going to do is create a new composition. For today, we're just going to do 1920 by 1080. You want to make sure it's set to 24 FPS, so 24 frames per second. That's what we're always going to use. I'm going to keep my duration at 1 minute. Press OK. All right, now I'm going to import my files. So for this project, let's see. I am going to bring in a parented figure as composition retain layer sizes. Press OK. Bring in a grassy field video as footage. Press open. And then the retro TV as footage. Press open. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, bring my TV down. You'll notice that it's way too big. So a shortcut for this is that I can right click in the main screen area or in my preview area and go to transform fit to comp width. I could also select the layer and go up to layer, transform, fit to comp width. And there we go. Now we have a TV that plays. If I press the space bar to play it, you can see that it plays. It's a little bit short, so I want to extend it. And then I also want to green screen out the green part of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this. And so the easiest way to do that is to right click, or if you don't have a mouse, control click and go to time, enable time remapping. That's going to set a keyframe at the beginning and end. Leave those alone. You could use it to speed up or slow down your animation if you needed to speed something up for something else. But for now, we're using it as sort of markers for the beginning and end. So then I'm going to Option or Alt click. So holding Option or Alt on my keyboard, click on the actual stopwatch itself and type loop and select loop out. Then I just need to click outside of this. That's what sets it. And I have to extend this. So if I drag my mouse over the end of my layer, you'll see that it turns to a double-sided arrow. I can click on that and then extend it. And now this video will continue to animate for like 30 seconds or however long you set it to. So the next thing I need to do is key out the green screen part of this. So with the layer selected, I'm going to go up to Effect. So Effect, Keying, and then I'm going to use Keylight 1.2. Keylight 1.2 is great for keying stuff out. It's very fast and easy. You just click on it, and then right here where it says Screen Color, so under Screen Color, I'm going to click on this eyedropper, and that's going to let me select the green, which will then key out. You should still have some of that like streaking in the video. It's a little bit hard to see on mine if I make a solid layer and put that behind the TV. Now you can see it a little bit better. So you should still have that streaking. We want that. We want it to look like a vintage, sort of old retro TV. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down my grassy field video. This is just kind of a random stock video. Both of these files were just found online. I got them from a website called Vecteezy. So if you're interested in looking for like free stock videos, there is a great site just called Vecteezy. And you can just make a free account and download videos or illustrations or whatever you want. Okay, so again, I do want this to be a little bit longer so I can loop it again. If you don't remember how to loop things, you could just copy and paste it, and then I could have them play one after the other by selecting the first one and then shift selecting the second. going up to Animation, Keyframe Assistant, and Sequencing Layers, or I could select them both and right-click it and go to Keyframe Assistant, Sequence Layers. And that's an easy way just to make the video continue. So this video is not a perfect loop, so it's not going to loop perfectly, but that's okay. You could also do your loop out, but again, it's not a perfect loop, so it would still have a jump at that point. Okay, so now I need to make my parented figure. Up here in the project panel, you may see effect controls. If you click to the left where it says project, you can see your files again. I'm going to double click on the parented figure. And you should have something that looks like this. So it's a vertical file with eyelids, heads, forearms, upper arms, right hand, left leg, body, etc. So it has a bunch of pieces to it. And so I need to parent those together and then animate it waving. I need a little bit more space to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is go up to Composition, Comp Settings. So up at the top, it should go File, Edit, Composition, Layer, Effect, Animation, View. So we want to go to Composition, and then we want to go to Composition Settings. And I'm just going to extend the width to like 1800 because I need more space to work to be able to have the character kind of wave. Um, so first thing I'm going to do is parent everything together. So the right eyelid should be parented to the head, left eyelid parented to the head. And then you kind of parent outward. So your hand would parent to your forearm would parent to your upper arm would parent to your body, head would parent to the body, that sort of thing. So it's like connecting to the joints. Like if you think about like a jointed paper cutout puppet, that's essentially what you're doing. So on the left hand, I'm going to parent that to the left forearm to the left upper arm, and the left upper arm to the body. And then on the right hand, parent that to the right forearm, and then the right upper arm, and then the right upper arm to the body. Left leg, I'm going to parent to the body. Right leg, I'm going to parent to the body. Now, something that's worth pointing out here is that things are going to rotate from their anchor point. And so it may be a little bit hard to see, but like if you look at the leg layer right here, you have a little sort of circle with a cross through it, like a plus sign with a circle over it. That's your anchor point. So if I tried to rotate the leg, see how it's rotating from the anchor point? I want that to actually rotate from the knee. So I can grab my pan behind tool. Up here in your top toolbar, you have a rotation tool and then a pan behind tool. So I can grab the pan behind tool, place that at the knee, and then I'm just going to start doing that, placing everything at their joints. So spacebar to get the hand tool. I can grab the left hand and put the anchor point at the joint, the left forearm at the elbow, left upper arm at the shoulder, right hand at the joint, right arm at the elbow, right upper arm at the shoulder. Using the spacebar for the hand tool, I can click on the head and put the head anchor point at the neck. And then I'll just leave the eyelids alone. So the first thing I want to do is make it look like the eyelids are kind of blinking. Oh, we also need to parent the head to the body. So there we go. So let's make the eyelids look like they're blinking. Set my cursor to 0. This blue line is our cursor. And then on the right eyelid, drop down your options, or I could press T for opacity. On the left eyelid, T for opacity. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on the right eyelid and then hold Shift and click on the left eyelid. That selects them both. And then turn on the stopwatches. Now we're going to use something a bit different. We're going to use something called a hold keyframe. And a hold keyframe just means that it doesn't animate the difference. So if I have it go from 0% opacity to 100% opacity, we're not going to get it. It's not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. It's going to go 0, stay 0 until it hits the 100 keyframe and turn to 100. So I'm going to start with these at 0 to make the eyes look open. I'm going to zoom in on my timeline a little bit. And then I'm just gonna start adding blinks. So to make it look like it blinks, I'm just gonna set this to 100 to look closed, and then zoom all the way in, move this over a couple of frames, and set it back to 0. And so I did 3 frames. So remember, 3 frames is like, you know, it's like 1/12 of a second. It's a very fast animation. So if I play that, you can see it sort of open quickly. Now, I forgot to turn these to hold keyframes. So let me undo those. And just to go ahead and set these, I'm going to right click on the keyframe and go to toggle hold keyframe, right click on the keyframe, toggle hold keyframe. And now those should just stay hold keyframes. And so instead of animating the difference, having it like fade, it will just quickly come on and off. Essentially, it's like turning a light switch on and off. So I'm going to set that to 0, set it to 0. And now do you see how it looks like it's like blinking? And then I can move over my timeline and again set it to 100, set it to 100. Zoom in, move over about 3 frames, set it to 0, set it to 0. And now we have this nice sort of blink. And then what's cool is that I can just copy and paste those. So let's say that I want to have it blink again. I can click and select those and then do Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V. And then I can even copy and paste multiple. Um, so now you can see that we have a character that just from time to time blinks. And what's cool is now if I animate the head, the eyes will stay with it. So let's say that I want to animate the rotation of the head just to make it look like it kind of moves around a little bit. I can grab my rotation tool at the top here, and then on the head, I can press R for rotation, turn on keyframes. I'll have it start to the left a little bit, and since the eyes and eyelids are parented to the head, they stay with it. And then I'll have him kind of rotate over. Just a slow movement, just so it's not sitting completely still. So something like that. Nothing too crazy. I just wanted to have like a little bit of movement. It kind of makes it look like sort of like an animatronic figure, like one of those figures from Chuck E. Cheese's or something like that. Okay. So now I want to animate the arms. I'm just going to put the layers together with my selection tool because notice there's a little bit of a space. And I'm just gonna, with the left arm, leave that one alone. Wait, whoops. And with the right arm, just have that one wave. So right upper arm, hold shift, um, and select the right hand, right forearm, and right upper arm, and press R for rotation. You can also just do them one at a time, so you don't have to do each one together. You could just click on one and press R, click on forearm, press arm, R, click on upper arm, press R, and then turn these on with my cursor set to 0. I'm going to move over to like maybe like 2 seconds, kind of zoom in a little bit, and then grab my rotation tool. And on the right upper arm, have that rotate a little bit, right forearm, have that rotate a little bit, right hand, have it rotate a little bit. And so now you can see that it looks like the hand is kind of coming forward. And then I just want to make it look like the forearm is like waving a little bit. So I'm going to have the forearm come up and then basically just copy and paste the previous keyframe a couple of times. And then at the end, just have it go back down. So what I can do is just click on the first keyframe where it started and just press Command or Control C, Command or Control V, and it's going to place it where my cursor is. And then I can do the same thing. Now I do need to place hold, so I'm going to copy and paste on the second keyframe for the hand and arm. And then at the end here, copy and paste the first one. So if that's confusing with the copy and paste things, you don't have to do it that way. You can just manually move it back and it will record it. So the way that this works, it just records your actions with your bar here. So anytime you move this and then move something, it will record it. So if the copy and paste thing is confusing to you, skip that and just do it manually. It's totally fine. For time's sake, that's all I'm going to do right now. And then I'm going to go back to my comp one. And then what I'm going to do now is called nesting a composition. Up in my project folder, which remember might be hidden by effects, if I click on project, I can click on the parented figure composition and just drag it down. And I'm going to place that behind the retro TV. And I might want to actually scale it down a little bit. It's a little bit large. So I'm going to click on the edge of the bounding box and hold Shift and scale it down a little bit. And then now I have an animation of the character sort of waving. Um, what I do want to do from here is have the character kind of fly into the scene. So on the parented figure composition, I'm going to set my cursor to 0 and turn on position and scale. And I am going to scale it down holding the shift button so it stays in proportion and then move it off screen. And then I'm going to, wait, whoops. I'm going to go over to 5 seconds, move this back onto screen, and then click on the edge of the bounding box holding shift and scale it up. And now I have a little animation of the character coming into frame. I also want to have a color transition. So on the grassy field video, I'm going to select that and go to Effect and then Color Correction. And I'm going to go to Hue Saturation. And what I'm going to do is turn on the channel range by clicking on the stopwatch for channel range. I want to first set my cursor to 0, click on that stopwatch. It sets a keyframe there. If you want to see that keyframe, you can drop down the effects bar. There's your keyframe. Move over or set the saturation to 0 so it's black and white. Move over to 5 seconds and set it back. So it went to negative 100 to 0. Actually, press play. And then we can see our animation. So the last thing I'm going to do is on the parented figure, I'm going to have it fade out. So around like 6 seconds or so, maybe around like 7 seconds, I'm going to turn on opacity, move this over and set it to 0 so that it fades out nicely. And then I'm going to add a text animation that just says made by my name. And so obviously you would put your name here. And on the text animation, I'm going to have it fade in. So turn the opacity to 0, move over a couple of seconds, set it to 100. Move over a couple of seconds, copy and paste that keyframe so it just holds at 100, and then move over a second or two and set it to 0. And now it will look like it's just fading in after this plays. I'm going to go ahead and set the end marker by pressing the letter N. I can also just drag over this work area. And then I'm going to go to Composition, Add to Render Queue, select a save location, which I actually want it to be in my, well, I'll just save it to the motion graphics folder, save, and hit render. So there we go. If you want to see that play back, this is what the animation looks like. I'll set this to fit my screen, and we can play it right now.